All right, good Tuesday afternoon. Thank you for hopping on NCSA Live. I'm David Kamisek from Next College Student Athlete, joined by Kyle Winters. Kyle, good Tuesday afternoon.
Great Tuesday afternoon. Glad to be with you as always.
Always so positive and just thriving in life.
What else do we have to do? It doesn't serve me any good to be any other way.
Very true, very true. Awesome. Well, we appreciate you guys hopping on, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, whatever platform you're watching us on. For those of you that have been visitors before, we're going to hit on a certain topic in the recruiting process and give you guys some tips and some advice here to hopefully help throughout the recruiting process. But certainly encourage your participation as well. So any questions you have, whether it be anything we're specifically talking about or anything just overall on the theme of recruiting, jot your questions down. We love the back and forth. We want to answer your questions. So throw as much as you can in the questions, and we'll get to as many as we can here in the next half hour or so. Today, though, we're going to start by kicking things off talking about the fall season and really more so getting into recruiting videos and making sure that student athletes have a good idea as to what a highlight video or skills video should consist of. But we're going to hit on really the time of the year between the fall and winter seasons here in terms of making sure student athletes are on the right path for their recruiting process and making sure that you guys are taking the right steps. And for those of you that are upperclassmen that are trying to still figure things out, have no fear. There's still a lot of opportunity out there. So we'll hit on upperclassmen as well and what you guys can be doing right now to maybe get caught up in the process. But Kyle, first and foremost, we talk about it all the time here on Facebook Live, the importance of starting the recruiting process early. We're starting to work more so with 8th graders now with college coaches, taking a closer look at that as well. But for the underclassmen, for the freshmen, the 8th grade class right now that's starting the recruiting process, kind of head into this fall winter season, where do they start? What's kind of a good starting point here for those student athletes looking to get the ball rolling at an early and right time to think about recruiting?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think you put it very aptly that we're even talking with 8th graders right now, and that just acknowledging the misconception that recruiting doesn't start junior, senior year of high school. So for freshmen, you're a couple months into the school year now. Hopefully you've gotten your feet wet a little bit. You're a little bit more comfortable with being in high school, the schedule, curriculum. You're used to having your homework and playing sports. So obviously it's a good time to start thinking about recruiting as well. The earlier, the better when it comes to planning for your future and trying to play sports in college. So for freshmen, a great place to start is just, trying to start building and researching a list of target schools that you might have interest in. We fully acknowledge that most freshmen don't know what they're going to want 4 years down the road, and that could change over the course of their high school career. But it's a good starting point where you can just start to put together a list that's time consuming. You can identify and research different schools. You can go into their academic side of things, their athletic, their social, their financial compensation that will take to go to that school. All those pieces, you can start putting them into place and really create a wide list of schools that could have everything that you potentially want in a future education and team. And that's something that you can build off of to narrow down over the following few years. So just even the first steps as a freshman, 8th grader, start creating a list.
Yeah, and it's not a decision of have to make that your final list tomorrow by any means, right? It's not about getting seen and getting offers tomorrow. Certainly for some 8th graders, freshmen, that does happen early. It's not the norm by any means, but recruiting is starting earlier and earlier. But really just a matter of understanding the process, understanding what steps you can be taking early on, just understanding the NCAA rules, the timeline, having that knowledge, having that education. Like anything else in life, the earlier you start something, the better off you're going to be. I talk about my experience as a college student, where I was notorious for being a night before studier. I would cram. I'd learn as much as I could, get into the test the next day, and then try to forget everything as soon as I could. But I knew that if I prepared weeks in advance, I would be better off. And recruiting is very similar. The earlier you can start this process and just understand as an 8th grader, as a freshman, what can you be doing? What should you be doing to put yourself ahead? It's not about seeing necessarily the dividends tomorrow, but knowing that in a year or two down the road, you've done everything you can to put yourself in the best place possible. Again, we talk with upperclassmen every day who are seniors still trying to figure out, do they even want to play their sport and what that entails. So again, good tips early on. Get a recruiting profile started if you haven't done that. Online presence is certainly important for those freshmen. For the sophomore class, Kyle, I think there's more urgency for that class than maybe I would assume that most parents realize, right? we're coming up to the beginning of a new year here in about a month and a half, and then already next summer, these sophomores that'll be heading into their junior year, that's where things are really going to get aggressive. So for this next 6-7 months for the sophomore class, there's a lot they can be doing to put themselves in a good position for next summer when this more direct contact can be happening with college coaches.
Absolutely. And first off, night before studier, wish I had thought of that. I was really more of a morning of studier. So don't be that. Don't be Kyle in recruiting with the morning of studier when it comes to recruiting. But yeah, sophomore year, yeah, that's where you can really start making strides in your recruiting process to really connect with college coaches. And we can even subtract that back to some freshmen as well, with starting to be proactive in reaching out to college coaches. Now you have a list of schools that you've built that have everything that you would ever want in a future destination. Now start trying to get on their radar, start trying to get some exposure to them and help them see who you are as a student athlete so they can determine whether or not you're the type of student athlete they want to keep track of. When it comes to college coaches, there are hundreds of thousands, in some cases millions of student athletes out there in high school that are playing your sport. So it's hard for a coach to try and identify every single prospect out there. And we have coaches giving us feedback all the time that they're looking for student athletes to proactively reach out to them and let them know of their interest in the specific school. So really starting off with an introductory email to that school, to that coach, including your profile, including just, individual knowledge about that specific school, about that coach, hopefully having some video for that coach to evaluate as a sophomore, knowing that they're not looking for a finished product. They're trying to get that better idea of what you may turn into, what your projectability looks like. So sophomore year, and in some cases, even freshman, eighth graders, introductory email is a great place to start getting your name out in front of college coaches a little bit more.
Yeah, it's not just about building a profile and hoping that coaches find you. There's a lot that a student athlete can really take the bull by the horns themselves and be proactive in sending that information out. Kyle, you touched on video. I think it's important that we kind of hit on that a little bit more in detail, especially for the eighth graders, the freshmen, the sophomores. You want to start collecting video. You want to have video, but you touched on it. Coaches aren't evaluating your video right now and saying as a freshman, okay, this is who I'm getting in my program in 4 years. There's a lot of development that goes with that. Coaches want to see that progression when it comes to that highlight video or that skills video as an underclassman. I think sometimes student athletes are afraid or families are afraid to put something together because they're thinking, okay, my kid's not a finished product. Coaches know that. That's part of a coach's job, is to evaluate talent and the forecasting of how good that individual could potentially be with more growth, more development, more hands-on, better college level training.
Yeah, it's a natural reaction for a parent or a student athlete to think that, I'm not a finished product right now as a freshman. So coaches, they're just going to write me off when they see my video. They're not even going to want to pay attention to me. Some cases that may be true, but overall, they're really not looking for a finished product at any point. They're not looking for seniors to be finished products. They're not looking for their freshmen and sophomores to be finished products. They're looking for projectability. They want to see a student athlete starting point in their development throughout high school. They want to identify someone who's going to grow and get bigger and get stronger and develop and hone their skills. They want to see where you start and know your work ethic from freshman year on to sophomore year on to junior year. And even if you're not someone who grows a ton like me, I grew 9 inches between the start of my freshman year and the end of my sophomore year. That would have been huge to showcase to coaches. But even if you're not that person, being able to show that you're getting stronger, your skills are getting better, you're developing more maturity with yourself as an athlete, being able to show those aspects starting from freshman year is going to showcase that you're someone that a coach can rely on, that they can expect to come into their program as a freshman after high school and know that you're going to continue that development. You're someone that's going to go into their program and only get better and take on their coaching versus someone who just maxed out as a senior and this is what you're going to get. So for coaches, they're looking for projectability. They're looking for someone who's going to develop and continue to get better over the course of their 4 years in high school and over the course of their 4 years in college as well.
For video, I think it's important, Kyle, too, to talk about like what should be included in the video. And again, it can vary by sports. Some sports, they want to see a skills video. That's more so baseball, softball, golf. They want to see a swing video. But what's important to include in that highlight video? What should that video look like that should catch coach's attention for a freshman, for a sophomore?
Yeah, for most sports, we're talking about a highlight video. It's going to be your best highlights. It's going to be your title that jumps off the page at that college coaches. You're going to put your best highlights in those first 15 seconds of you throwing down a massive dunk over everybody on the court. If you're a football player, you're a quarterback, you're throwing that long touchdown pass. If you're a running back, you're breaking tackles and running for that long run. It's going to be the plays that really catch a coach's attention, because they're going to give it probably 15, maybe 30 seconds before they're going to decide whether or not they want to watch the rest of this video. So you got to catch their attention right away. That being said, they don't want it to be all dunks. They don't want it to be all passes. They don't want it to be all one variety. They want to see different variables that you can bring to the table. So if you're a basketball player and you shoot threes and you're a good shooter, showcase those threes right away, but also showcase your mid-range game, your ability to drive to the basket, your defense, your passing, whatever it may be. You're going to showcase all the different skills that you have and be willing to showcase that you're a well-rounded player. For other sports like baseball, softball, golf, you're looking for more of a skills video, which is going to be a controlled scenario. It's not going to be in-game footage. It's hard for a coach to evaluate baseball or softball based on one swing, one pitch, one at bat, whatever it may be. They want to see more of a practice video where they can understand and get a better feel for and evaluate your consistent swing, your consistent mechanics, your consistent motion release, whatever that may be. So it varies a little bit, but put your best foot forward to showcase what you look like and how much better you are than anybody else.
Yeah, and for more information on videos, ncsasports.org, our website, we break it down by sport in terms of what coaches are looking for. Even camera angles are important. So check out our website. We've got some questions rolling in about that, so we'll get to those here in a second. But for the junior class, it's go time. Right now, as a junior, every college coach in the country can be directly contacting you really since the beginning of your junior year, September 1st or June 15th, depending on the sport, depending on the division level. It's fair game. So at this point, if you're a junior and you're wanting to play a sport in college, but you're not having any direct contact with college coaches yet, it's really time to get a move on here. So Kyle, for those juniors, again, the time is certainly coming to a crunch, so to speak, not as much as the seniors, which we'll get to in a second. But for juniors, if you are a junior, you want to play in college and nothing's going on with your recruiting, don't sit back and wait. Start getting ahead of the game, because there's a lot of kids as juniors that are getting offers or having direct contact, taking visits. They have a lot going on in recruiting, so there's some catch up that needs to be played for those that are really just kind of getting the ball rolling.
Yeah, if we're talking about any sort of checklist, regardless of what grad year you are, it should never include sit back and wait for coaches to come find you. But as a junior especially, we just passed the national letter of intent dates last week for seniors. So less than a year from now, student athletes your age are going to be signing their national letters of intent, committing to the school that they're going to be playing at. So if you're not having conversations with coaches right now, you're not having phone calls, you're not even talking about scholarships, we have some work to do. You have less than a year to get on coaches' radars and show them you're someone that they want to offer a scholarship for, which they don't have a lot of money for. They have to offer that out sparingly. So there is time. There's still opportunities out there for you. It's not too late by any means. You may have to expand your search a little bit. You're going to have to be a little bit more aggressive in trying to figure out where coaches are at in their recruiting process, seeing how many student athletes at your position they're looking for, in your grad class they're looking for, where you may stack up against that other competition. So hopefully by junior year, you're ready to have these conversations. You're having these types of conversations with college coaches. But if you're not, that means you just have to get on the ball a little bit more. It means you have to start being more proactive and trying to get your highlight video email, start calling coaches as well to try and get in touch with them and see where you might fit into their program. Because if we wait much longer, we're going to run out of time. You don't want to be starting senior year, and we're going to talk about seniors in a second, but you don't want to be starting senior year at square one with nothing going on in the recruiting process.
Yeah, and the older you get, the more important video does become. So by the time you're a junior, hopefully you have some game footage, you have some video built up. Again, coaches need to evaluate you. They need to see you. And more likely than not, the first time that's going to happen is going to be on video. They're not just going to show up to a game and say, "Oh, let's see if someone's good here, someone I want to recruit." But if they like that video and they like what you accomplished, whether it be in your fall season, summer season, whatever the case might be for those heading into their winter sports season, that video is going to be oftentimes the first place that coaches see you. And then if they like what they see, they're more inclined to want to come see you play in person. So as you get older, that video does become more and more important. Seniors at this point, hopefully for those of you that are within the recruiting process, you've taken some steps. You're starting to think about, again, the application process, FAFSA, some of the financial aid opportunities that are out there. But for seniors, it's getting to be crunch time. So if you haven't had any contact with coaches, a few things to really focus on. Number one is you really need to get proactive and aggressive in the recruiting process. But I think it's really important to be realistic as well. Kyle, what am I talking about with realistic here? A lot of the D1 schools are kind of wrapped up with seniors or finishing that class. So being realistic, casting that net wide, opening it up in terms of location, division level, that's going to be really important here for the seniors that are just kind of getting things going.
Yeah, we can probably speak similarly about a lot of Division II schools for most sports as well. A lot of them are probably wrapping up their classes because they start just as young. So yeah, expanding out to Division III schools, NAIA schools, junior college is a great option for seniors right now. Junior college has gotten a bad rap over the years. I know in high school it was looked at, frowned upon, not necessarily the option that you want to go, but it's a great route to continue developing and continue to extend your education and open up more opportunities for you to matriculate into a 4-year school after getting to play a couple years at a junior college. So it's about just being more open. It's about being more willing to travel, being more willing to go outside of your area, outside of your comfort zone, being more willing to go outside of what you would consider to be your top schools, to schools that are still looking, because at this point, unfortunately, what you would consider your top schools may no longer be looking for student athletes your age in your class. I know that's something that I dealt with. I was a high prospect for baseball, but by the time college coaches knew who I was about this time in my senior year, most schools were done recruiting my class. So it's an unfortunate reality a lot of us have to face, but our options are either don't play in college at all or kind of expand out from that and be a little bit more open to opportunities out there. Because at the end of the day, being a college athlete is being a college athlete no matter where you play. So take that option because it's going to be a better choice for you in the long run.
Absolutely. So again, seniors at this point, again, if you're just starting the process, really got to hone in. We're still getting a lot of roster openings from college coaches looking for 2022 prospects. Majority of those at this point are coming to Division III, NAIA, junior college, some D2 programs. There are still some D1s that are looking, but again, it's certainly crunch time here. And if you don't have video, if let's say, Kyle, you're a senior and you don't have highlight footage for whatever reason, maybe the coaches didn't record the game, whatever. Really with COVID too, we've seen a shift in terms of some sports being more open to having skills videos. It's not ideal, but having a skills video can offset the fact that maybe you don't have a highlight video at this point. So that's something too, Kyle, that I think has become a little bit more relevant again, especially with COVID, kids not having seasons last year. Coaches are able to evaluate through more of a skills video. Again, it's not ideal, but at this point, if you're a senior and you don't have footage of games or highlights from in action, a skills video can be a way to offset that, to try to still get some attention, to still get a way to get evaluated or to get a coach's interest.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like we don't give college coaches enough credit, but yeah, with the lockdowns, they understand that a large swath of student athletes weren't able to play seasons at all for the last year and a half, some cases maybe more than that. So they're very understanding of that. And they're more open to sports like football and basketball, having a skills video where you can showcase, dribbling. You can run through your drills. You can go through, what a practice would look like and try to showcase your shot, your dribbling ability, your ball handling. Defense may be difficult, but you can probably do some drills and figure something out for that. Do some mic-ins. There's no shortage of different drills you can do for something like basketball. For football, you get a couple of guys together from the team, go out, run routes, throw passes, do a combine style type of situation where you're doing exactly what they would do for the NFL combine. If you have no other option, that's better than nothing when it comes to trying to get on a coach's radar. If you're putting together a skills video for the non-skill video type sports that are the baseball and softball. For everything else, be creative with that and try and showcase whatever you can to get on a coach's radar. If it's track, go out and run on a track, whatever it may be. It's kind of no holds barred right now. Do anything you can to try and show what you can do and to be someone that coaches want to be.
Yeah, and for the video, I think it's important to have the video, but you have to do something with it, right? I think a lot of people throw it on YouTube, they put it on their Instagram. That's fine and dandy, but coaches aren't just going to randomly be scrolling through Instagram, through YouTube, hoping to discover a video. So again, that's where the NCSA profile, can really come into play. Put that on your profile so that when, again, a coach is in our network, they're looking for certain types of student athletes. If they come across a profile that is someone that might be interested in them, they can watch that video. They can really begin to evaluate them. So again, what you do with the video is important, not just having it, but again, don't just wait for coaches to find it. Be proactive in sending that out to schools, get that up on your profile. Check YouTube. There's thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of highlight videos that coaches aren't necessarily just, really scrolling through or trying to kind of figure out. We do have some questions rolling in here. So let's start. I'm going to take this first one since it is a basketball student athlete. This one is from Mark Robert. How do you best highlight a freshman who has been chosen to play varsity for boys basketball? First of all, congratulations if that is your student athlete. Really, it's the way that you would highlight any other highlight video. Coaches, again, like I want to see, as Kyle talked about, the versatility, the different skill sets, the fact that he is a freshman or she is a freshman playing on the varsity team, certainly something you can put on your profile. Again, that's going to stand out. If coaches are knowing that you're a 2025 prospect playing up against 2023s, 2022s, that's really going to give them a good idea as to projectability, not just in terms of how you compete against older kids now, but you continue to grow. So again, for a basketball video, you're looking at 4 minutes, 5 minutes. Keep the music away. Coaches don't care about the newest Little Yachty song or whatever is going on. I don't even know if Little Yachty still puts out music, but it was the first thing that popped in my head. Kyle's a big Little Yachty fan, so he can answer that when he gets back. But put together 4 to 5 minutes, versatility, different skill sets. You can use AAU video. You can use club travel video, whatever the sport is, in addition to highlight videos from high school. It can be a combination of the both. But again, get your best stuff first. Coaches will look at that video. Jeff Wilson's one of our recruiting specialists, has a hockey background. He would say within the first 15 to 30 seconds, like Kyle talked about, he knew if he wanted to keep watching that video or if he wanted to go on to the next student athlete. So again, basketball, freshman, sophomore, junior, it's going to be a lot of the same type of stuff. Kyle, I know you brought up track. I do want to ask a question here from Derek. What about videos for track, sprinting specifically, since you just sort of touched on it without maybe knowing there was a question? I'm going to let you answer this one.
It's forethought, it's foresight. Sometimes I amaze myself. I'm not going to lie. And yeah,
Little Yachty, by the way.
Little Yachty, yeah. I was wondering why people had not been, gravitating toward my YouTube video of me hitting drivers on the golf course to Little Yachty, and it's because I have been proactive with it. So
there you go.
It's good to know. But yeah, as far as track goes, yeah, in a perfect world, normally speaking, yeah, video is not necessarily going to be the most important thing for track, sprinting, whatever it may be. It's not necessarily something coaches are looking at. If you're fast, you're fast. Your times in track really speak for themselves. So that's first and foremost what college coaches are going to go off of, is what your times look like in registered track meets, whether that's high school or AAU or club or whatever it may be. That's ideally going to be what college coaches are looking for. That being said, if there wasn't a track season last year, if there's not an indoor season coming up for you, or something happens, you have to make do. A college coach or anybody can pull out a stopwatch and watch a video of a student athlete running on a track and be like, yeah, that's the time. It's easy for them to do just with a stopwatch. So it's better than nothing, though. In most scenarios, in most cases, the times are going to speak for themselves when it comes to track and field, especially sprinting, though they may be looking for some form, those types of things as well. The times are really the most important aspect of track recruiting.
All right, in-depth question here from Glenn, but it's certainly a good one. For football, entering high school next year, have the choice of a large 7A high school. That's okay. They make playoffs half time, or a 3A small school that always goes deep into the playoffs. I'm a starting QB at either one. What's a better option to attract attention from large college coaches? Kyle, I'm going to let you answer this one.
But yeah, if you're starting QB at either one, then yeah, I'd probably take the bigger school because they're going to get more recognition. It's going to be higher competition, most likely. It's going to be a better scenario to get exposure, though. Again, we really don't talk a whole lot about high school or college coaches going to high school games, trying to find prospects. Just there's so many athletes out there. It's hard for them to do that. For football, there's over 1 million high school football athletes out there. That being said, it'll still help you develop. It'll be better competition. You'll be playing against better teams, most likely, at a 7A school. At least that's how it was where I grew up in Colorado. The 5A schools were far and away better than 4A and 3A schools. So the competition was a lot better. And at the end of the day, that's going to help you showcase yourself to coaches playing against the highest competition versus being able to go out and steamroll over teams that are the little sisters of the poor. But at the end of the day, going deep in the playoffs at the same time, that's not necessarily going to be the most important thing for a college coach. They're more looking at your skill and development. You can be a good player on a bad team and get recruited just as successfully as a decent player or just a regular player on a great team. So going into the playoffs, I don't think is as big a factor, but if you can be a starter at the 7A school, I think that's probably your best bet.
Sounds good. Tasha's got a question. I'll handle this one. How do class of 2025s get offered if coaches can't speak to them yet? It's a great question. So under the NCAA timeline, the college coaches, they have certain checkpoints in terms of when they can directly reach out to a student athlete. So a student athlete can initiate contact with a college coach, but for Division II and Division I coaches, they cannot directly contact a student athlete. So phone calls, emails, text messages, direct messages, whatever it may be, until either June 15th of the sophomore junior summer or September 1st of their junior year. Some sports are a little bit different. Men's ice hockey, football, they're going to have some different dates, but for the most part, that summer between sophomore junior year is when they come. How the offers happen for younger kids is typically through a coach. So if I'm a college coach, I may go to the club coach and say, hey, we're going to offer that person a scholarship. That message kind of gets relayed. So there are some asterisks, so to speak, if you will, in terms of that communication. But again, for student athletes who are able to reach out to coaches, some kids can call a coach their sophomore year of high school. If that coach picks up the phone, they're able to have a conversation. So if the student athlete's initiating that, that's where some of that offers can come as well. But a lot of that does happen through a coach, through a travel program, whatever the case might be. Part of the advantage of the NCSA network is the ability to be able to see specifically who's looked at my profile, who's following my profile, who's recently viewed my profile, who's opened my email that I sent to a college coach. So again, the NCSA profile takes away some of that guessing game, but a lot of that communication when you see kids getting offers is 25s, 24s, so freshmen, sophomores in high school, that does typically come through a coach or through someone else that's kind of playing the middleman, so to speak, if you will, between the college coach and the student athlete. So good question there from Tasha, though. Definitely one that we get. Kyle, you were a hockey player, so I'm going to let you handle this one. What if a freshman hockey player has no idea what college they want to go to? How can you help them prepare this? You can relate this to really any sport, but for freshmen right now, they're trying to figure out, what does that future hold? That's okay. Doesn't mean you don't need to think about recruiting, but there's things that you can do to try to help maybe guide that individual towards what's going to be the best fit for them.
Well, first question, Debbie. I was a freshman hockey player once upon a time in my life. Why is the answer already not North Dakota? That's obviously the right answer, that you want to go play for North Dakota. No, they're no longer the Sioux, but they were the Fighting Sioux for a long time. And man, that was my goal. I knew 100% I was going to go there until I quit hockey about a year later. But yeah, exactly like David said, it's not expected that you're going to know exactly where they're going to go. And hockey's very unique when it comes to playing hockey in college. Almost every single student athlete has to go play junior hockey after high school before going playing college. And while most freshman college hockey players, they're 20, 21 years old when they're starting up their college career. So it's a completely unique process. So he has plenty of time to figure that out. But at the same time, for all freshmen out there, think of anything. Come up with the most broad terms that you possibly can, the most broad criteria that you could ever think of that you would want in a school. I want to be by the water. I want to be by the mountains. I want to be in the middle of nowhere. I want to be in a big city. I want to be rural. I want to go to a small school. I want to go to a big school. I want to go to religious school. Just think of anything you could ever think of and put that down on the list, and you can go in and search that. And that's one thing that we really specialize in talking with families about, is how to create a list of schools in the first place. We have great tools within the NCSA profile that can help filter what those schools are. And if you guys haven't talked with us about that, let us know. We'll go over that with you guys and help kind of start the process of determining, how do I figure out a list of 30, 40, 50 schools in the first place that could have anything that I want. And then over time, you're going to narrow it down as a student. You're going to get a feel for what you're looking for in a college over the next 4 years. So again, you don't have to have those things figured out, but put some building blocks in place and you can figure it out as you go. David, I think you might be muted still.
Good call, Kyle. Last question we're going to take is from Joe. Should we ask for an unofficial visit, or should the coach offer the unofficial visit? Let me start by breaking down the difference between an unofficial visit and an official visit, I should say. So an unofficial visit can happen really at any time. It could just be you as a parent going to a school with a student athlete, visiting the campus, trying to connect with the coaches. Really, that can be happen at any point. An official visit, you're only allowed 5 of those per student athlete. An official visit is typically where the school will pay for you to come on. They may fly you out, hotel, room board, tickets to the game, whatever the case might be. An official visit is something that's far long advanced in the recruiting process, where an unofficial visit, even as Kyle just mentioned, you can take as a freshman just to visit the campus and try to get a lay of the land, so to speak. But an unofficial visit, you shouldn't wait to be invited onto an unofficial visit, Kyle. That's something that you can just kind of organize yourself. You can reach out to the program to see if they're available to chat with you, to tour the facilities, whatever the case might be. But you can take an unofficial visit really at any time as a student athlete. But if you're specific in basketball here trying to connect with the coach, you can reach out to that coach to see if they'd be available to meet with you or whatever the case might be. But again, an unofficial visit, you're just paying your own way and you're kind of taking more of the organization or the planning under your own belt versus the school being the one that's really organizing and planning everything.
Yeah, to Deborah's last question, that's a great way of kind of determining a feel for what a student athlete might want in their school is go on official visits. They're your own cost. So if you have schools around you, that's great. You can go check them out and just connect with the admissions department, or connect with the front office, and they'll set up a tour. And you might be lucky enough to set something up where you can go talk to the coach or try and set it up through the coach. So that may be a little bit more difficult, but there's no limit to the unofficial visits you can take, and that's a great way to explore different aspects of what you may want in a school and a university. So do as many of those as you possibly can. It's great research. It's great experience, no matter which way you look at it.
Cool. So a lot of wisdom here, hopefully, that you guys are taking in. So big thanks to Kyle for a lot of his knowledge. But we're going to wrap things up here by ringing the bell and recognizing some of our recent college commitments. Again, it's the national signing period, which has kicked off last week. So a lot of our student athletes are signing their letters of intent here this week. Let's start things off with Dominic DiTomaso, if I'm saying that correctly, student athlete from Georgia, wrestler, committing to Division I University of Chattanooga. Kyle, their nickname?
I don't know, but when I was in Chattanooga last, I was nicknamed Sunshine, and it wasn't very kind.
You were nicknamed Sunshine?
Yeah, that was my first AA start. Was in Chattanooga. I had long hair, and they kept calling me Sunshine, like Remember the Titans.
Their nickname is the Mocs, MOCS. But Dominic here had a lot of activity, had 78 coaches viewing his profile, had 40 coaches following him, had 265 email exchanges with coaches. He was super active, logged into his profile 452 times. So again, took the initiative to really drive his recruiting process, and obviously it's paid off for him with a commitment to Division I Chattanooga. Kyle, turn over to you for the last two.
Congrats, Dominic. Yeah, they probably won't heckle you the same way they heckled me in Chattanooga. They'll probably receive you with open arms. Last couple commitments, we have Emma Zelkowitz. She's headed to University of Massachusetts, Boston. Her twin sister, Allie, is actually in our network as well and is pretty close to committing to a few different schools for golf. She's a high-level golfer with a really great average. But Emma here, she's going to the Division III University of Massachusetts, Boston. She did a lot of her recruiting directly through our profile. We talked about knowing who's opening her emails. She had 3 out of 4 emails opened by the coaches at University of Massachusetts, Boston, directly through her NCSA profile, and was able to have a lot of success and end up committing to that program as a result. So congrats to Emma, and best of luck to you, Allie, and letting us know how things are going to finish up for you. And our last commit here of today is William Hertz, who's headed to Kenyon College. William is 6'8" golfer, and I took a couple looks at his swing, and I'll see you on the course, William. We'll do a little drive off, and we'll see what's what. But you'll smoke me at the end of the day. Similar story with him. Kenyon's a Division III school out of Ohio. He did a lot of his recruiting directly through the profile. 5 out of 5 emails open directly with Kenyon College, led to his success, and he's going to be heading there to Ohio from Houston. So congrats to you as well, William. Congrats to all of our commits here today.
Do you think hurts the ball off the tee?
I think he hurts the ball a lot, and I think he's going to be hurting the ball a lot more as he puts a little bit of weight and strength on. I'm gonna retire from Facebook Live on that comment. I think it's fantastic. I wanted to retire after one last week, but that was awesome. Well, again, congratulations to all of you, and for those of you that are making your decision or have made your decision, let us know. We'd like to celebrate those commitments and
blast them on our social media and recognize all the hard work and the effort that goes into the recruiting process. Again, a lot of work that gets to these points for student athletes. It's not always open your door and all of a sudden a scholarship falls out of the sky. So congratulations to those three and all the seniors that are signing their national letter of intent here over the last few days, or will be over the next few weeks and months as well. So for Kyle Winters, I'm David Kamisek. We'll be back here next Tuesday, 2 p.m. Central. So we'll see you guys then, and hopefully all have a great week.